नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवती नैष्ठिकी। हरे कृष्ण दंडवत प्रणाम। टुडे वी कंप्लीटिंग canto Srimad Bhagwatam canto 12 chapter 8, Markandeya's prayer to Nar Narayan Rishi, shloka from 40 to 49. Sri Markandeya uvacha kim varnaye tava vibhoho yadu यत् उदीरित सुसंस्पंदने तम अनु वाक् मन इंद्रियाणि स्पंदन्ति वै तनुभृताम् अजशर्वयोः च स्वस्य अपि अथ अपि भजतां भावबन्धुः मूर्ति इमे भगवतः भगवन् त्रिलोक्याः क्षेमाय तापविरमाः च मृत्युजित्ते नाना बिभर्षि अवितुम अन्य तनुः यथा इदं सृष्ट्वा पुनः ग्रससि सर्वम् इव अर्णनाभिः। तस्य अवितुः स्थिर चर इषितु अंघ्रिमूलम यत्सम न कर्म न काल रज स्पृशन्ति यत् वै स्तुवन्ति निनमन्ति यजन्ति अवीक्ष्णं ध्यायन्ति वेद हृदया मुनय तदा अप्येति तदा अपते न अन्यं तव अंग्रि उपनयात् अपवर्ग मूर्ते क्षेमं जनस्य परितः बियः ईश विदम ब्रह्म विवेति अलम अतः द्विपरार्धधिष्ण्यः कालस्य किम उत तत्कृत भौतिकानां तद्वै भजामि ऋत धियः तव पादमूलं हित्वा इदम् आत्मचर्दि च आत्मगुरोः परस्य देह आद्य देह आदि पार्थम असत् अंतिम अंत्यम अभियज्ञ मात्रम विन्देत ते तर्हि सर्वमनीष मनीषित अर्थम सत्वं रजः तमः इति ईश तव आत्मबन्धो माया मया स्थिति लय उदये तव अस्य लीला धृता यत् अपि सत्वमयि प्रशान्ते न अन्यः नृणां व्यसनमो भीय च याभ्यां तस्मात् तव इह भगवन् अथ तावकानां शुक्लं तनुं स्वदयितां कुशला भजन्ति यत् सात्वता पुरुष रूपम उशन्ति सत्वं लोकयत अभयम् उत आत्मसुखं न च अन्यत् तस्मै नमः भगवते पुरुषाय भूम्ने विश्वाय विश्वगुरवे परदेवै दैवताय नारायणाय ऋषे च नरोत्तमाय हंसाय संयतगिरे निगम ईश्वराय यं वै न वेदवित थ अक्ष पथे भ्रमति संतं स्वकेषु असुषु हृदय अपि दृक्पथेषु तत्मायया आवृतं मतिः सौ एव साक्षात् आद्य तव अखिल गुरो उप साध्य वेदम् यद्दर्शनं निगम आत्मरः प्रकाशं मुह्यन्ति यत्र कवय अजुपरा यजन्तः तं सर्ववाद विषय प्रतिरूपशीलं वंदे महापुरुषम आत्मनिगुण बोधम. Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Markandeya Rishi once again bowed down at the lotus feet of those two most worshipable sages who were sitting at his ready to bestow all mercy upon him. He then addressed them as follows. Shri Markandeya said, Almighty Lord, how can I possibly describe you? You awakened the vital air, which then impels the mind, senses, and power of speech to act. This is true for all ordinary conditioned souls and even for great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. So it is certainly true for me. Nevertheless, you become the intimate friend of those who worship you. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, these two personal forms of yours have appeared to bestow the ultimate benefit for the three worlds, the cessation of material misery and the conquest of death. My Lord, although you create this universe, then assume many transcendental form to protect it. You also swallow it up, just like a spider who spins and later withdraws its web. Because you are the protector and the supreme controller of all moving and non-moving being. Anyone who takes shelter of your lotus feet can never be touched by the contamination of material work, material qualities, or time. Great sages who have assimilated the essential meaning of the Vedas offer their prayers to you to gain your association. They bow down to you at every opportunity and constantly worship you and meditate upon you. My dear Lord, even Lord Brahma, who enjoys his exalted position for the entire duration of the universe, fears passage of time. Then what to speak of those who Brahma creates the conditions, the encounter fearful dangers at every step of their lives. I do not have any relief from this fear except shelter at your lotus feet, which are the very form of liberation. Therefore, I worship your lotus feet, having renounced my identification with the material body and everything else that covers my true self. These useless, insubstantial, and temporary coverings are merely presumed to be separate from you, whose intelligence encompasses all truth by attaining you, the supreme Godhead and the master of the soul. One attains everything desirable. O my Lord, O supreme friend of the conditioned soul, although for the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this world, you accept the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, which constitute your illusory potency. You specifically employ the modes of goodness to liberate the conditioned souls. The other two modes simply bring them suffering, illusion, and fear. O Lord, because fearlessness, spiritual happiness, and the kingdom of God are all achieved through the mode of your goodness. Your devotees consider this mode, but never passion and ignorance, to be a direct manifestation of you, the supreme personality of Godhead. Intelligent person thus worship your beloved transcendental form, composed of your goodness, along with the spiritual forms of your pure devotees. I offer my humble obeisance to him, the supreme personality of God. He is the all-pervading and all-inclusive form of the universe, as well as its spiritual master. I bow down to Lord Narayan, the supremely worshipable deity, appearing as a sage, and also to the saintly Nara, the best of human beings, who is fixed in perfect goodness, fully in control of his speech, and the propagator of the Vedic literatures. A materialist, his intelligence perverted by the action of his deceptive senses, cannot recognize you at all, although you are always present within his own senses and heart, and also among the objects of his perception. Yet, even though one's understanding has been covered by your illusory potency, if one obtains Vedic knowledge from you, the supreme spiritual master of all, he can directly understand you. My dear Lord, the Vedic literatures alone reveal confidential knowledge of your supreme personality, and thus Even such great scholars as Lord Brahma himself are bewildered in their attempts to understand you through empirical method. Each philosopher understands you according to his particular speculative conclusion. I worship that supreme person, knowledge of whom is hidden by the bodily designations covering the conditioned soul's spiritual identity. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who falsely identifies himself as the material body or mind automatically feels entitled to exploit the material world. But when we realize our eternal spiritual nature and Lord Krishna's supreme proprietorship over all that we renounce our false enjoying propensity by the strength of spiritual knowledge. Lord Krishna, who is the source of our existence. The word Lila Drutaha indicate that the creative activities of Lord Brahma, the destructive activities of Lord Shiva, and the sustaining functions of Lord Vishnu are all pastimes of Lord Krishna. But ultimately, one Lord Vishnu can award liberation from the clutches of material illusion, as indicated by the word Sattvamai Prashantai. Our passionate and ignorant activities cause great suffering, illusion, and fear for us and others. Therefore, they should be given up. One should become firmly situated in the mode of goodness and live peacefully on the spiritual platform. The essence of goodness is to renounce selfish interest in all one's activities and thus dedicate one's entire being to the Supreme Being. Lord Krishna is the source of our existence. Intelligent person, God, who represent the modes of passion and ignorance. Lord Brahma represent passion, Lord Shiva represent ignorance, and demigods such as Indra also represent the modes of material nature. But uh, Lord Vishnu or Narayan represent pure spiritual goodness, which brings one realization of the spiritual world, freedom from fear, and spiritual bliss. Such benefits can never be derived from impure material goodness, for it is always mixed with the modes of passion and ignorance. As clearly indicated in this verse, the transcendental form of God is fully constituted of eternal spiritual goodness and thus has no tinge of the material mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Even great demigods like Brahma are bewildered in their speculative attempts to understand the supreme personality of Godhead. Each philosopher is covered by a unique combination of the modes of nature and thus the supreme truth according to his own material conditioning. Therefore, even strenuous empirical endeavor will never bring one to the conclusion of all knowledge. The highest knowledge is Krishna, the supreme personality of God, and one can understand him only by fully surrendering to him and serving him with love. This is why Markandeya Rishi states here, Vande Mahapurusham. I simply worship that supreme personality. Those who try to worship God but at the same time continue speculating or acting primitively will attain only mixed and bewildering results. To be pure, a devotee must give up all pretty activity and mental speculation. In that way, his loving service to the Lord will yield perfect knowledge of the Supreme. Only this perfection can satisfy the eternal soul. Thus end the purport of the humble servants of His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 12th canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagwatam, entitled Markandeya's prayer to the Narayan Rishis. Om Gyanatirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवान् च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांच नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देश तारिणे वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा तुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा दंड pranam. Today we completing 12 cantos 8th chapter. In chapter we heard about the Markandeya Rishi, how they wander in the Pralaya's time, and he saw one small baby on the leaf of the Ashwatha Ruksha. Then after they doing when next day of Brahma, when they doing tapasya, they saw the Narnarayan Rishi as the Hari, in the form of Hari, and they giving the prayer to them and obeisance to on the lotus feet of the Narnarayan Rishi. How they pray, what are their prayers, and why the prayers of so important, those all describing in these shlokas, and they ultimately told about the importance of the uh, told to the pure devotee to give up all fruity activity and mental speculation, that their loving service to the Lord will yield perfect knowledge of the Supreme, and that is the our aim to obtain the knowledge of spiritual master, and uh, and accepting perfection can satisfy the eternal soul, and to accept and to go achieve our aim of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. Prabhuji will tell you in detail. Hare Krishna Dandat Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhe cha kripa sindhubhe eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we see how, in order to display mercy towards Markandeya, Lord Srihari appeared before him in the form of Narnarayan. So Markandeya Rishi prostrated himself in obeisances and then worshipped the lords by offering them comfortable seats, water for washing their feet, and all the respectful presentations which we saw yesterday. And then come the important prayers, which actually are something like instructions to us on how to change our own life. He has prayed that Krishna, you are the Almighty Lord. You are the one. Krishna is the one which brings life, the vital air of all creatures. And Krishna protects the three worlds. Krishna vanquishes distress. And Krishna awards liberation. Now, that apart, let us see, because this is exactly what we are suffering from, distress. This is exactly what we are running after, liberation. This is exactly where we are in this asashvatam, where we are not having any kind of protection. This is exactly the position where we are worried about our vital air of life. And that is the very first thing which Markandeya Rishi clarifies, that it is Krishna who is responsible for all these things. And then he continues that Krishna never allows anyone who has taken the shelter to be defeated by any kind of misery. So if we are suffering from misery, what it means is that you have to take shelter of Krishna. Because attaining Krishna's lotus feet is the only auspicious goal for conditioned souls. And service to Krishna fulfills all kinds of desires. So though we say, आशा रखोगे तो निराशा होगी, but the fact is, if that asha is related to Krishna, then you can only have Paramasha. And that is what we have to look at. Krishna's pastimes, which are enacted in the mode of pure goodness, can award everyone salvation from material life. And that is why you will see during the festivals, we have so many drama festivals which are organized. And hence we'll see that intelligent person, they worship the personal form of pure goodness, which is named Sri Narayan, along with Nara, who represents Krishna's unalloyed devotee. Now, many a times we are bewildered by illusion. So, Markandeya Rishi is saying that the living entity who is bewildered by illusion can directly understand Krishna if he receives the knowledge presented in the Vedas and promulgated by him from the spiritual master who comes in the parampara. Because Krishna is the spiritual master of the entire universe. In fact, even great thinkers like Brahma are bewildered when they try to understand Krishna's identity by struggling on the path of Sankhya Yoga. Krishna himself manifests the proponents of Sankhya and all other philosophies. And thus, his true personality, personal identity, many times remains hidden. But then, the moment we surrender, the moment we offer our homage to him, Krishna gets satisfied. And that is what we are all supposed to be doing. If Krishna is Santushta, then we will be Santushta. Because for all ordinary conditioned souls, what is required is the protection given by Krishna. And in fact, Krishna can become intimate friend of those who worship him. And we have seen him in the Leela which has shown when he appeared as it is, as Krishna in Vraj Dham. So, if you're looking at cessation of the material misery and the conquest of death, then that is something, the ultimate benefit, which can be given only by Krishna. Because he is the one who has created this world. And he is the one who has been assuming many transcendental forms to protect it. So we saw the example during our discussion about spider, how he throws up, creates a web, and at times he also withdraws the web. Similarly, Krishna, when he exhales, the whole material universe is created, and when he inhales, the whole material universe is destroyed. But then he is the protector and supreme controller of everyone. And so, if we are taking the shelter of his lotus feet, we will not be disturbed or even touched by the contamination of material world, material qualities, or even kala, time. So it is important that we take shelter of Krishna. Because at every opportunity, when you constantly worship Krishna, meditate upon Krishna, he's always there to protect us. Even Brahma, who is at such an exalted position, even he requires it. Because that fear of passage of time exists where everywhere in this material world. But we can get relief from this fear if we are sheltered under Krishna. And hence it is important that you worship his lotus feet. We have to renounce our identification with material body and everything that covers this us, that is the soul. Because these are useless, insubstantial, temporary coverings. And so we have to identify and forget them. Remember that we are the soul and we are covered by all these temporary aspects. It is Krishna who is our friend, because only Krishna can be the supreme friend of the conditioned soul. And though these modes are there, which are part of the illusory potency of Krishna, if we request, then Krishna can employ the mode of goodness to liberate us who are conditioned souls. And so we have to work in increasing this mode of goodness, Satogun. And in fact, if we remember Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, we have been exalted that we should get from even mode of goodness to mode of pure goodness, Shuddha Satoguna. That is what we have to achieve. And hence, using our intelligence, we have to worship Krishna's transcendental form, which is composed of pure goodness, along with spiritual forms of Krishna's pure devotees. Guru Maharaj is always a pure devotee of Krishna. And that is why it is said, Guru Krishna Nahi Anya. That is why we worship Guru as good as Krishna. And in this Narayan form, we are seeing the same thing. That Lord Narayan, he came as Lord Narayan, the supremely worshipable deity, and also as Nara, the best of human beings, who is fixed in perfect goodness, fully in control of speech, and one who was propagating Vedic literatures. So let us try hard and not allow the materialism to affect us. Because if we become materialist, our intelligence perverted by the action of the deceptive senses. And then we will not be able to recognize Krishna, who is in fact with us in our own heart. And thus his presence will be covered by the illusory potency. But the moment we obtain the Vedic knowledge, then we can directly understand Krishna. Because Vedas have revealed confidential knowledge of Krishna's personality. And so we know that he is Anadir Adir Govinda. And he can be achieved by congregational chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Thank you very much. I welcome everyone who has joined us